Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Triangle Offense. I'm Monish. As always, I'm joined by Nishant. Hey Nishant, what's up? Interesting weekend of matches. Do you watch anything? The Pelicans making an all-time, their franchise record comeback.
Yeah.
24 points behind, they came back and beat the Celtics in overtime. Incredible game. The Nets completed a complete sweep of the Western Coast.
Yeah.
They beat Portland, Sacramento, Warriors, Lakers, Clippers, everyone. So successful trip for them.
Yeah. Four
Minnesota have
without
a new
Durant,
coach.
right?
Yeah,
Four of
four
those
without
wins.
Durant.
Yeah.
Kyrie and Harden seem to be on fire right now.
Yeah.
Minnesota have a new coach, and the 76ers have been losing a few matches. The one team I wanted to focus on today is the team that beat 76ers yesterday, the Toronto Raptors. So let's get this going.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Raptors were 13th, 14th in the league just not too far ago. And they came back winning 9 of the last 12 games, including a clean sweep of the Bucks in 2 games, in which they averaged 117. They beat the Philly yesterday, and the Philly 76ers yesterday. And this is a team, they're doing this without Lowry. They won 6-0. They are 6-0 without Lowry. Do you think this team has an upside that we're not thinking about? A team, could they potentially be a top 4 team?
Maybe if they continue this play. And I'm wondering, is the upside just not playing Lowry? An aging Kyle Lowry, because he's not a bad player by any stretch, right? But I think it's just the way this team is constructed. They're probably better off. And that's a short sample, of course. We'll revisit this, but at this moment, it looks like they're better off playing without Kyle Lowry. And one of the plus points of playing without Kyle Lowry, one of the things that has worked out well for them is Norman Powell has just gone off in this stretch, right? And he's in scintillating form. He looks like he's now legit a top tier league guard. Again, a very small sample size, but that's one of the bright spots that has emerged out of Kyle Lowry's absence. And that's probably something they'll look into. But what it can't be denied is, if we're discussing Toronto as a top 4 team, and let's just for a second assume that it's a lock that they're a top 4 team, then any top 4 team would have some level of playoff ambition. Maybe they even want to make a late run and push for the finals. It's not wrong to be ambitious, right? They're not going to do it, but let's say that's their goal. Then Kyle Lowry becomes all the more important, because come playoffs, his experience, his ability to defend, his selflessness in both those charges that he takes late in the game.
Yeah.
You can't really, it's not really something you teach. It's just a plus point. But when somebody does it as often as him, it's an integral part of the game. Like, it's not a fluke. It's not a one-time thing. He does this week in, week out. And it's little things like that add up to make him a solid playoff defender. And his leadership and experience is invaluable in the playoffs. That's Kyle Lowry's value. But on a game-to-game basis, I think Norman Powell has just exploded, and maybe they'll try Kyle Lowry off the bench. It sounds almost blasphemous in Toronto, but yeah, I mean, if this team could trade DeRozan, they can consider bringing in Lowry off the bench. What do you think? What is your standout feature from this new look Raptors over the last few weeks?
I think the improvement of Siakam has been underrated so far. He's been performing at the level that he's performed when they reached the finals and won the trophy, right? Last season, since the bubble started, he's looked a shadow of that player that he was.
Yeah.
And I think if you look at his last few games, he's been averaging 25 and then he's averaging 10 rebounds. He looks like the player that we expected him to be. The year that he won the most improved player, he looks like that player. And I think that has been very pivotal in this Raptors surge. So I think the Raptors really improving from Siakam getting better there. But their center, Chris Boucher, Aaron Baines, this has been a big problem for them, right? Boucher has been great off the bench. He's been great offensively. A little lacking on defense though. But Aaron Baines, except the game against Philly, he was incredible against Embiid. But except that, he's not looked the kind of player you want in a championship contender team. So do you think there's a space there, like a gap to get in a center? And there are a lot of big men available as well.
Yeah, if we, this center debate, and there are a lot of big men available, and usually when we hear of a DeMarcus Cousins being released, mutually separated, whatever they're calling it now, and when we hear of Drummond being put on the trading block, and we hear of Blake Griffin being asked to sit out, because the instinctive reaction, and I guess as fans, as viewers, we've been conditioned into always thinking about the chip and chip contention, and it's all about the chip, and it's nothing but the chip or nothing, bust. So then naturally we are predisposed to think of chip contenders and chip favorites every time we hear of any player's availability. Disgruntled player somewhere, or which chip contender can use him, right? So then you're talking about a big man. What are the obvious names? Right on top of your mind is Brooklyn Nets, because if they get a big man, it's over. Unless they want to play small ball, which I wouldn't be surprised if they do, right? So that's one team. The Lakers would be another, because Anthony Davis is out, and given the nature of that injury, it can go horribly wrong, or maybe they choose to sit him out for the rest of the regular season. You never know. So AD is kind of he's in a precarious situation right now, and then Marc Gasol has honestly been disastrous. He looks past it, right? So Lakers is another team, but then there are a lot of teams, when you think about it, that don't have a good starting big man, and then a bunch of teams that could use a good big man off the bench. And at this point, I don't think DeMarcus Cousins would mind being that, or Blake Griffin in an elite team maybe would have to accept that that's going to be his role. That being said, Toronto is one of those teams that we should be thinking about when it comes to acquiring a big man, because not only do they need it based on evidence this season, they took major hits in defensive capacity once they lost Kawhi Leonard first. That was the biggest blow. That was a franchise level blow. And then they lost in one off season Marc Gasol, who honestly they lost some of it even last season when he was there, because his form diminished so much. And so he went out, and then Ibaka went out. That's a double whammy for them. And all they could get back in return was Aaron Baines and yada yada yada. And it's not working out. Boucher is great to have coming off the bench, but they need a starting caliber big man who primarily should be able to rim protect and grab rebounds. If he scores, that's an unbelievable bonus.
Right.
This description, don't you think it matches Andre Drummond like piece to piece?
Yes, exactly. So do you think Andre Drummond is the guy who can really get some valuable minutes and add some value to the Toronto Raptors here?
Yeah. So if the question was, is Toronto the best possible destination for Drummond? Maybe not. Again, it remains to be seen what his ambition is, but maybe not. Is Drummond the best guy among the available contenders for Toronto? Yes, they have some level of cap space. They can afford to pick up his contract. He's exactly what they need. A strong rim protector. I mean, the best rebounder in the league, statistically, for a few seasons now. And you know what? If he's the focal point of the offense, he still gets you 20 plus points a game. But if you put him in a rotation, he's still good for like a 12 and 15 game every night, every single night for sure. So he is their perfect pickup. They can absorb his contract, they can bring him in, and it works for them. If they can't get him, then their backup choice should be DeMarcus Cousins, who I would imagine there'll be a bunch of teams interested in Cousins, because it's a cheap contract, $2.3 million. That's what he's been guaranteed this season. It's an easy pickup, and it looks like he's okay coming off of the bench. He's willing to pick up that role if the team needs it. That would excite a lot of teams. So these are the only real two options. I don't think Blake Griffin is something that would interest the Toronto Raptors, just because of the sheer value of that contract. Now, if there's a buyout, then maybe, then we're talking. But if it's a trade, if they have to bring in Blake Griffin in his present condition with that kind of money, where they're paying $20 plus million a year for the next 2 years, and they have to give up assets in exchange to get that, it's just it'll be one of the dumbest deals ever made. And Toronto have one of the smartest GMs in the league, so I don't think that's going to happen.
One thing about the Cousins probable trade here, right, is that Toronto over the years have been a team that has a chemistry within the players who can do everything off the ball. Right. They can score, they can defend. Do you think DeMarcus Cousins kind of fits that bill? I don't think so. I mean, he's not that great a defender. He can score, of course. He's been great offensively as well. Yeah. But I don't think he's that defender, or he has a great fit in Toronto.
Yeah, so like I said, again, for me, Drummond is the best possible choice for Toronto to get, because he exactly fills the gaps that they have and their requirements from a big man. But I think an argument can be made for DeMarcus Cousins for the following reasons. He's not a bad defender, and he's certainly a better defender than Aaron Baines and whoever else is there. Yeah. He's no Ibaka in his prime, but he can still rim protect. He can still defend. He's a pretty elite rebounder still, so long as fitness supports him. And at the other end, he's great for their guard game. Their guards and their wings, they run whenever they have the opportunity. They can run a lot of pick and rolls, Toronto. and he's good at the pick and roll. He's great as a screen, and then he's great as a screen fade, either fading to the basket or kind of doing an inverted fade and becoming a stretch big, because he is actually a pretty good 3-point shooter. And it seems like, I don't know if it's injuries or what, but he is preferring to shoot threes a whole lot more than he is he's willing to go and bump it out in the paint. Maybe it's cautiousness, maybe it's injury. So a case can be made. Also, what's invaluable for Toronto if they pick up Cousins as opposed to Drummond is leadership. Cousins has always been, at least on court, I know he's had shady transgressions off the court. I mean, that's the accusation, at least nothing's proven yet. But on court, he's a solid leader. He's a good mentor to have in the locker room. He's a team first guy. He's established this in multiple locker rooms. The Lakers last season were raving about his impact in the locker room, even though he didn't play a single minute. Same in Golden State when he was around. And you can, if you remember that famous video of Draymond Green and Kevin Durant just duking it out on the sidelines, I think it was a Clippers game, which was when Draymond famously said a bunch of stuff to KD. Watch Cousins in that video. Watch how he tries to diffuse the tension, and he's proactive at sort of keeping the team together. That's a great locker room presence to have. So that's another intangible plus. Kind of how Kyle Lowry is valuable to the Raptors, DeMarcus Cousins can be a bit of that as a big man. That's something Drummond can't yet offer at the same level. So Drummond number one, but I think a case can be made for DeMarcus Cousins, especially at $2.3 million for a year. That's a steal. And it's a no commitment contract, right? They're good at the end of the year.
Right. All right. So that was the Toronto Raptors and the available big men. We'll keep our eyes on the Raptors and their progress, because I really think they've been playing well. They've jumped above Boston Celtics in the table, which is kind of surprising, given how well the Celtics started off. But that's all we have for today, and I will catch you tomorrow.
Is that damn Nick Nurse adjusting to situations again, man? I don't know how he does it year after year, but hey. All right. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.